And on the mound for the Mets, it's David Cone with a record of 0-1, his third game start.
And David Cone will be backed up defensively by Maggin and Jeffries, Elster and Johnson in the infield, McReynolds, Carry on Strawberry in the outfield, and Sasser behind the plate. First pitch, fouled off the mask of the home plate umpire, Ed Montague, 0-1. Well, Mr. Kiner, we say it time and time again as you look at David Cone's stats, the Mets just throw a solid major league pitcher at you every day.
39-18 lifetime. So far this year, he has an earned run average of 4.85.
Odabe McDowell drags a bunt, and it'll be a base hit. How about that? You don't see that very often, a drag bunt.
Second baseman.
This is just about perfectly executed. You actually want the second baseman to field it. Magadan goes in to field it. Cone should have gone to the bag. A little bit of confusion right there, but he comes up with a base hit.
So it'll be McDowell leading off first base. Nobody out here in the top of the first, and Jeff Treadway the batter. Treadway batting .294, no home runs, 1 RBI. And they check McDowell. They will have to check everybody throughout the course of the 1990 season because of the problems the catchers have had in throwing out runners.
Well, the Braves are last in stolen bases in the National League.
Up high, 1-0. But it looked like the go-go White Sox out here last night. Everybody was trying to run, and they had some trouble.
Mets catchers have thrown out 4 of 34 that have attempted this steal. Braves have had only 4 stolen bases in 9 attempts.
Well, Barry Lyons caught 2 would-be base stealers as Cone checks McDowell again.
Interesting stat about Treadway. He has had 11 hits and 28 at-bats in the first inning, leading off a ball game in his major league career. Well over 400.
Throw him that off-speed pitch, eh, Ralph?
Well, you sure don't start him with fastballs.
Yeah. You know, when you look around baseball, you find very few guys that you would say, now that's Spalding type leadoff hitter or a second man in the lineup, but Treadway looks like he'd be very proficient hitting in the second slot because you get Odabe McDowell on first base with good speed. You're going to see a lot of fastballs. As Ralph mentioned, Treadway a good fastball hitter. Check McDowell again. And the 1-1 pitch, McDowell faked to second base. Curveball was a strike. Treadway taking that pitch, so maybe there's something to that, Ralph. Throw that breaking ball to Treadway.
You got to make him think a little bit when you come into the first inning with that kind of a record. It's like Bobby Bonds and leadoff home runs, 35 of them. You know he's looking fastball most of the time when he leads off.
I played against Bobby in the minors and the majors. Curveballs all the time. And there's a base hit in the right field.
You believe this?
Treadway just serving the ball out there. And the Braves now have runners on first and second with nobody out.
That's his second first inning base hit against the Mets in these 2 games, his 12th in 29 at bats. Just amazing. Now they ought to take him out of the game.
He was fooled and picked up a base hit.
And he hit it off a curveball.
So forget the curveball. You got to work on throw the ball behind him. Runners on first and second, nobody out, and the batter Lonnie Smith. Smith batting .211, no home runs, 3 RBIs.
Comeback player of the year last year. What a year he had.
Swung and missed a fastball. 0-1. He was the comeback player of the year because he hit .315, had 21 home runs and 79 RBIs. He gave up smoking during the offseason, and he came back heavy.
He led the National League in on-base percentage last year with a 415 percentage.
Fouled off. Count remains 0-2.
And Lonnie Smith and Will Clark, the only major league players in 1989 to have a 300+ batting average, 400+ on base average, and 500+ slugging percentage. There was an article in the paper about Lonnie playing in day games. He doesn't like day games.
Up high, 1-2. I saw that in USA Today. Likes the nighttime baseball. He broke in with the Phillies. Ended up with the Cardinals, then on to Kansas City. Signed as a free agent by the Atlanta Braves after everybody else gave up on him. There's Laredo, and the ball's hit off the end of the bat. A base hit into left field. McDowell will score. 1-0 Braves.
Number 18, third baseman Jim Presley.
Well, the Braves came into this game with the lowest team batting average in the National League, hitting as a team .210. They were the lowest in home runs with 3, lowest in runs scored with a total of 32, and here they start off this ball game with 3 straight hits. None of them hit hard, but they all count, and the run scores, and the Braves lead 1-0.
The batter now will be Jim Presley as you look at Lonnie Smith, who's on first base. Presley batting .286, no home runs, 3 RBIs. Big hit against Doc Gooden last night, a hanging curveball in the first inning, driving in the run for the Braves. And he takes the curveball off the plate, 1-0. Presley signed with the Seattle Mariners. He fouls that ball off, 1-1. Did you, Ralph?
It didn't happen when I was around. He had to play sandlot baseball.
Sometimes that's even better.
At least he played.
Yeah, here's the 1-1 pitch. There's a good curveball, 1-2. Some of their executives felt Dave Cohn might be the best pitcher in the Mets staff. Oh, there's a good curveball. 1 down.
Well, they got to look at Gooden's curveball in last night's ball game. Doc struck out 10 batters in 8 innings, the 39th time he struck out 10 or more batters in a ball game, and now they have to look at Cohn's curveball that is close to it, close to Doc's.
So Presley back in the dugout, and the batter now will be Crash, Tommy Gregg.
Mets lead the National League in strikeouts. They have 124 Ks by their pitchers.
Ball 1.
Crash got that nickname because he never called for a fair catch. He was a punt returner in college. He ran them all back.
Whew. That might be a record. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Off-speed pitch, nips the outside part of the plate, 1-1. One man down if you just tuned into Sports Channel. It's 1-0 Braves here in the top of the first. Runners on first and second. Tommy Gregg, the batter. Gregg was a member of the Pittsburgh Pirates organization, was traded over to the Braves for Ken Oberkfell. So Bobby Cox, general manager of the Braves, wheeling and dealing in Atlanta. 1-2. Talked last night about a lot of the experts feel this will be the team of the 90s. Not necessarily these 25 or 27 players, but they have some fine talent in the minor leagues, starting with their pitching. Dennis Burlingame, an outstanding prospect, and Steve Avery. The question is, will Russ Nixon, the manager, be around to manage those guys? Fouled back, 1-2. That must be frustrating, Ralph. You're a manager in the major leagues. You know your team's not going to do that well, but you know down in the minor leagues you have some of the top prospects in baseball. You can't rush into the major leagues, yet you might not be managing when they get there. What do you do?
Play them one game at a time. You have no choice.
Yeah. 1-2. Down and in, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Tommy Gregg had a tremendous start last year. On June the 6th, he was hitting .404. He had .201 the rest of the season. He was 1 for 23 against the Mets coming into this year. He's now struck out.
You adjusted to that very well.
I was going to say he had one hit in yesterday's. No, he had no hit, so he's still working on that tough BA. 1 for 23, and he has run it up to 1 for 28.
One of the most overrated stats in baseball is the batting average, but when you struggle for the first 2 months, you got major problems lifting that batting average. As you look at Dale Murphy, who's struggling at 200. Curveball misses, ball 1. Through 1980 through 89, Eddie Murray. 996 RBIs, Dale Murphy 929, tied with Mike Schmidt. How about Dwight Evans? There's that guy that's underrated. Another guy in New York that's been underrated is Dave Winfield.
Murphy also was second in home runs to Mike Schmidt in the 80s.
And the 1-0 pitch.
There's his problem right there.
Chasing the bad breaking ball, 1-1. If you're a trivia nut, as you look at that last swing, Murphy is an answer to a trivia question. 1 of 9 answers. Players to win back-to-back MVP awards. And it's amazing it's happened at each position.
That is for sure.
It's happened to 9 players. Looking at the runners leading off first and second. 2 men down. Fouled back. 1-2.
Murphy in the outfield, along with Roger Maris in the outfield.
And Mickey Mantle. Behind the plate, Yogi Berra. First base, Jimmy Fox.
Jimmy Fox. Second base is Joe Morgan.
Mike Schmidt at third.
Shortstop is Ernie Banks.
The pitcher is usually the tough one.
Hal Newhouser.
Fouled out of play.
And amazingly to me, Hal Newhouser is not in the Hall of Fame. And they say that the reason being he had his great years during World War II and wasn't pitching against strong opposition. But if anybody ever hit against him, which I did in spring training in 1943, he was a Hall of Fame pitcher. Man, he had great stuff.
It's amazing. He's not in the Hall of Fame. 1-2 on Dale Murphy. Laredo misses outside. 2-2. It wasn't the curveball. He dropped down with the fastball.
Boy, 2 close pitches have been given to Dale Murphy right here in this sequence of pitches.
And a 2-2 pitch. Curveball misses again. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Murphy last year hit .228 with 20 home runs. He had 2 home runs in the same inning. The 23rd player to do that in Major League history. First time a Braves player had done it since Robert Lowe did it in 1894.
Full count. Runners are breaking. Right back up the middle. Base hit. 1 run will score. It's now 2-0 Braves.
Murphy really hit a tough pitch right here for a base hit. Boy, David has not had any luck at all. It's not hit hard, but it certainly hit in the right place, and it's a low outside curveball. The same pitch that he missed before when he had that bad swing. Now let's look at this. Watch him reach out there and hit that. Those long arms did him good there.
Two-0 Braves, still in the top of the first inning, so it's going to be catch-up baseball for the Mets, who will be facing the right-hander John Smoltz. You got to wonder what type of an effect it'll have on John Smoltz. He completed his warm-up tosses a while ago. And the first pitch to Ernie Witt, the catcher, is a called strike. 0-1. Witt batting .136, no home runs, 2 RBIs. Jody Davis, also a catcher with this ball club.
Had the lowest batting average in the National League last year.
Up high, 1-1. I thought you always told me the batting average was overrated.
When it's that low, it's not overrated.
It's a line score.
He had been an outstanding hitter and an outstanding catcher until last year.
Yes. There's a strike, 1-2. Talking about Jody Davis, who backs up Ernie Witt. Of course, Jody had his productive years with the Cubs.
And he at one time belonged to the Mets.
Ernie Witt had his productive years with Toronto.
The last of the Toronto expansion players.
There goes Murphy, swung on and missed, strike 3. So Cone does it himself.
Patty, this time it's your pitch.
She's really having a few mixed emotions right there, isn't she?
Yeah, boy, I'll tell you, she's a very popular member of the New York Mets family here at Shea Stadium. For 10 years, she's done an outstanding job, and she will be missed. Her husband is taking a new job in the state of Florida, and so Patty's going to have to leave the Mets, and boy, is she a Met fan. Speaking of the Mets, here's the Mets lineup for tonight's ball game. Greg Jeffries leading off. He'll be followed by Mark Carrion and then Howard Johnson. Darryl Strawberry will bat fourth, to be followed by Kevin McReynolds and Dave Magadan. Bottom three, Mackie Sasser, Kevin Elster, and David Cone.
And on the mound, John Smoltz with a record of 0-2, a 13.50 ERA.
And a looper down on the left field line. It's out of play. Strike 1.
This will be his third game start, and he has really had difficulties. 6 2/3 innings. He's given up 16 hits, walked 4, struck out 7. The opposition's hit .444 against him so far this year. Last year, he held the opposing batters to a .212 batting average. That was tied for third in the National League.
Way inside, 2-1. He's only 22 years old. 6'3", 185 pounds. Last year, a member of the National League All-Star team.
Was a losing pitcher in that game. But he went to the All-Star break with a record of 11-6 and a 2.10 earned run average. He was 1-5 in the second half of the season, and with his 0-2 here, he's won 1 and lost 7 of his last 8 decisions.
Fouled out of play. Full count and Greg Jeffries. Well, Mets fans, this break in the action is a good time for you to break open a nice cold Budweiser and enjoy that clean, crisp taste. Yeah, this Bud's for you. Popped up. If he comes down, he's out. And he is. Blauser making the catch, 1 down.
Center fielder, number 45, Mark Carrion.
And the batter now will be Mark Carrion. Playing center field tonight. Keith Miller will be out for a couple days with an injury. Carrion with the big blow in last night's ball game. And he takes down low ball 1. Carrion batting .333, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs.
Second time that Carrion's played center field. The Mets today purchased the contract of an outfielder, Chuck Carr, from their AA team, Jackson, Mississippi. And they have optioned right-handed pitcher Jeff Ennis out to their Tidewater Ball Club in the International League. So the Mets evidently looking for some backup center field.
Right back up the middle, but Schmaltz made contact, and a nice play by Treadway. Tough to time a ball once it hits off somebody else's glove, but Treadway did it very well.
This ball was hit hard and just slowed down enough that Treadway could get over there to backhand and made a fine throw from a difficult position. The throw extremely accurate. And Carrion robbed of a base hit.
It's amazing the Braves were able to pick Treadway up from the Cincinnati Reds for cash. In baseball, that's a great deal. No player involved. 2 outs, and Hojo, the batter, he takes a strike. Howard Johnson batting .255, 3 home runs, 10 RBIs. Those 3 home runs have him amongst the leaders in home runs in the National League. Bobby Bonilla leading the league with 5 home runs. Swung on and missed, strike 2. cool night tonight. Hojo playing without the long sleeve shirt. Fouled off. Look at the Braves. Every one of those players have that long sleeve shirt on underneath the uniform top. Hojo without the shirt, so is Darryl Strawberry. Straw. Whoa! 1-2.
This ball coming on a 2-strike count. Little purpose behind that one, loosen up that hitter.
But the first 2 swings Hojo had really weren't aggressive swings, so maybe he woke Hojo up.
2 schools of thought there.
Yeah.
Let sleeping dogs lie, and sometimes you can intimidate. Well, you wake up a few of the hitters that are around, and they'll really come back at you.
And this is one of those guys. 2-2. 2 down. Bottom of the first, 2-0 Braves. Slip pitch up high. 3-2.
Smoltz won his first major league game start against the Mets. When he pitched 6-1, he went 8 innings. That was back in 1988. Gave up just 4 hits in those 8 innings. That's his record against the Mets. Last year he was 0-0 against the Mets in 2 game starts.
There's a drive to center field, but McDowell with plenty of room is under it and makes the grab for out number 3. So the Mets.
CBS FM 101.1, New York's oldies station.
And the batter Jeff Blauser takes strike 1 from David Cohn. Blauser will be followed by John Smoltz, the pitcher, and then the top of the order, Oddibe McDowell. Swing and a miss, strike 2. 0-2 on the Braves shortstop. Cincinnati on top of Philly 3-0 at the Vet in Philadelphia. They're in the bottom of the 2nd inning. Good fastball, but it misses inside. 1-2.
Phillies have surprised everybody. They're 1/2 game out of first with a record of 8-6, trailing Pittsburgh. Everybody had picked them for last place.
Down low, 2-2. Fouled off, so the count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. Blauser was the #1 selection by the Braves in the secondary phase of the 1984 June draft. Almost traded away last year. They get severely jammed right there. I can appreciate something like that, Ralph.
The wind held it.
You don't know what to say when you go in the dugouts. You know guys are snickering under their breath at you.
Strangely enough, you could hit 25 balls off the end of the bat. Nobody says anything, but when somebody jams you and gets into your kitchen like that, everybody laughs.
That's right. He knows they're laughing at him. Nobody's showing. Of course, if they say something, you're very upset. It's usually on the bus trip back to the hotel. If you win that night, you take some abuse. John Smoltz takes up high, ball 1. Mentioned the Cincinnati Reds before. I'll tell you, one of the great players for getting on other players on the bus was the Cincinnati Reds manager, Lou Piniella. There's a strike, 1-1.
Sarcastically.
Oh. I'll tell you what, though, he was funny. Outside, 2-1. Inside, 3-1. Sometimes this is the toughest strike to throw. You know you're not supposed to walk the pitcher. See what happens. There's a strike. 3-2. Ball 4. You know the manager is extremely upset. And I would say that gentleman, Mel Stottlemyre, is also upset.
Cohn himself got to be unhappy with himself walking the pitcher with one man out in the second inning.
And the batter now will be Oddibe McDowell. He had a bunt base hit in the first inning. Almost a lost art. The left-hander dragging the ball to first base. Foul back. 0-1. Talking about Oddibe McDowell last night, we mentioned Doc Edwards managed him last year. Doc now a Met coach, sits next to Davey Johnson in the dugout, and Doc said he became passive. Of course, then they traded McDowell to Atlanta for Deion James. And this guy came on the scene. He took Texas by storm. Good pitch right there, 0-2. Remember, he played on the Olympic team, was signed by the Rangers, played just a few games in the minor leagues, took over the center field position for the Texas Rangers. Did relatively well, and then he really tailed off to the point where they sent him back to the minor leagues. And the 0-2 pitch. Up high, 1-2.
He was the MVP of the U.S. All-Star team that toured Japan in 1982. Was a two-time All-American at Arizona State.
He was Player of the Year one year.
Won the Golden Spike Award as the #1 player in amateur baseball. 1984.
Swung on and missed, strike 3. 2 down. There's another Golden Spike recipient on the field right now. Dave Magadan.
Second baseman Jeff Treadway.
So 2 men down, and the batter Jeff Treadway, who singled and scored in the first. Swung on and missed, strike 1. How about that stat right there? Batted .300 against right-handers as he takes a strike. 0-2. Batted less than .200 against left-handers.
That's why they got him for cash.
And the 0-2 pitch. Oh, inside 1-2. That's the 50th pitch thrown by David Cone tonight. We're in the second inning. Treadway has to be comfortable batting against the Mets pitching staff because he's batting .354 throughout his career against the Mets. Way inside again, 2-2.
Treadway last year did something you seldom see in the major leagues. He pulled off the hidden ball trick.
2-2 pitch. Pulled foul.
That was against San Diego in the 9th inning, and it preserved a win for the Braves.
Did you ever get caught off base on a hidden ball trick?
Never did. You got to make that pitcher get on that mound. That's what you got to do. You can't get on the mound without the ball.
And there goes Schmaltz, and the ball gets by Mackey Sasser. John Schmaltz, the pitcher, down on second base.
Now, how about that?
He scored a wild pitch.
You might get a stolen base, but they have only 4 stolen bases, and the pitcher is stealing. Now, he gets a tremendous jump. You saw that Cone didn't even bother with him, and it's by the catcher. It is a stolen base, so he gets a stolen base, the pitcher.
Swung on and missed, strike 3. So Treadway goes down. And the Braves strand a runner on second base. They fail to score here in the top of the second inning. We stop, say, get the first baseman behind the runner. I'm going to send the runner.
Well, he doesn't have to be that deep. All you have to do is be away from the bag so you fill up that hole there.
There's a strike to Darryl Strawberry.
If you're playing right back of the base runner and close enough to him, you can intimidate him by just tapping your glove or tapping him, as a matter of fact. Let him know you're there.
0-2 on Strawberry. Well, I said that about our colleague Wesley Staub. You know he's in that press room closing those books and
he'll be out here
ready to do battle.
He likes to play in cold weather with his sleeves cut off.
He did. 1-2 on Darryl Strawberry, who's batting .292, 2 home runs and 9 RBIs.
Strawberry has 11 walks, .426 on base average.
Strawman leading the major leagues in home runs, 85 through 89. He has 2 of them right now here in 90. Up high, full count.
Can't remember Darryl chewing tobacco before. He's got a pretty good cut in there, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Think that's tobacco?
I would say yes. Oh boy, not a bad pitch right there. I think Darryl got a break.
Well, it's a fastball and it is inside, so it's called a ball correctly by Ed Montague, the home plate umpire.
Wait a minute. Now you're talking like a hitter.
Well, boy, if they call that a strike on me, I think I might have to say something.
The catcher's got to tell the umpire you just missed it. Here's Kevin McReynolds batting .281, 1 home run, 4 RBIs. Strawman on first.
You know who was one of the biggest whiners behind home plate?
Who's that?
Joe Graziola.
Was he?
Oh, he was asking for pitches all the time.
Well, you know, if you ask enough, you shall receive.
Well, you got to talk to the umpire and say, hey, that ball wasn't a strike. Don't let him con you into that. You got to counteract that.
Oh, sure, I agree. And then when you leave and the catcher stays there, you say he doesn't want to talk to you. Ball hit off the end of the bat. Ground ball is short. Blauser goes to second for the force. And McReynolds is all right at first base. So 1 man out.
I bet you were a whiner. Huh?
Oh boy, I tell you, I would. You know, and the best one is when say the umpire misses a pitch in favor of the pitcher and the catcher. The batter complains, not a batter leaves. The umpire will say to the catcher, what did you think of that pitch? And I would say immediately, oh, that's a perfect pitch.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, you didn't miss it. Stay with us.
I can believe that. Well, you have to say that. You're not going to tell him he missed it.
I don't.
You never get a pitch after that.
It's funny because he'll call the same pitch on you the next inning and you'll be all kinds of profane. Dave Magadan he takes a strike, 0-1. Now Magadan in the lineup tonight. Mike Marshall out of the lineup. I asked Dave Magadan on the pregame show, why are you in the lineup? He said, I don't know. Davey Johnson posted it last night. I like that idea. There's a strike, 0-2. I've never heard of that before. I've heard of managers going over and telling a coach, look, tell so-and-so to get his rest tonight. He's in the lineup tomorrow, but never posting it the night before. Here's our Briar scoop. 6-1 lifetime in day games. 8-19 in night games. And the 0-2 pitch to Magadan. Fouled off.
I've seen managers not tell who's pitching the next day, and you wouldn't know until you came to the ballpark and looked under your game cap. And if the ball were under that cap, you were the starting pitcher. Seen that happen a lot. In fact, Lou Boudreau used to do it with the Cleveland Indians, and they had one of the greatest staffs ever assembled.
Well, some pitchers, if they know they're going to start, get sick to their stomach before the game if they know too far in advance. That can add to a messy clubhouse. Outside, 1-2. One ball and 2 strikes on Dave Magadan. Kevin McReynolds at first base, 1 out. Now, Ernie Wood has struggled throwing runners out. Would you send the runner?
Certainly.
Reynolds holds his ground. It's inside. 2-2. I mean, when the Braves get on, they're running.
This is a better count to go on right here because you probably won't get a pitch out with a count of 2 balls and 2 strikes. The odds are very much against it. Of course, you got a good base runner on at first.
Even the pitch out. It's not that difficult to steal the base on the pitch out. There goes McReynolds. 2-2 pitch. A high chopper. Base hit right field. McReynolds going to third. Magadan on first. The Mets with runners on the corners and 1 man down.
Well, the second baseman, Treadway, was covering on the pitch, so he's out of position, and this high chopper goes right through the vacated position of the second baseman. And Murphy gets it back in as McReynolds goes to third. He gets a good jump here. He's really moving on the 2-2 pitch. Good jump. That was not a hit and run play. That was just a straight steal, and Magadan happened to hit it in the right place.
And Mackey Sasser, the batter. Runners on the corners. 1 man out. Catch-up baseball here at Shea. That's trailing 2-0. Curveball for a strike. Kevin McReynolds on third. Mackey swings over the pitch. 0-2.
Right here, you just have to make contact here because the infield's back for the double play. You can't strike out in this spot.
And McReynolds on third. Magadan at first. And you see the defense shading Mackey to slap the ball the other way. And the 0-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. Strike 3.
That pitch in the dirt, so Mackey really chased a bad pitch. This is the biggest problem the Mets have, moving runners in from third with 1 out. It's been that way for at least 2 years.
So 2 men down. Mackey back in the dugout. And the batter Kevin Elster, who's batting .87, 1 home run, 2 RBIs. Remember last year, Kevin got off to a bad start. Takes up high, ball 1. Then one night, Davey Johnson he made an announcement that Kevin was going to come out of the lineup, and all of a sudden, Kevin got it together. Luckily for the pitchers. If they wrote out the lineup, he'd be in it every night. Fouled off, 1-1.
6-minute entry in that ball game.
He drove in 55 runs last year with 10 home runs. Drives the ball in the gap, right center field, extra bases. 1 run scores. Here comes Magadan. He's being waved around. Let's run to the plate. Tie ball game. Triple, Kevin Elster.
Biggest hit for Elster so far this year as he takes that fastball into the right center field alley. McReynolds scores easy from third. Magadan not so easily from first base. And ending up at third base with a 3-base hit is Kevin Elster. Big base hit to tie the game.
So we're all tied at 2, and the batter now, David Cone. Coney fouls the ball back. 0-1. Way inside. 1-1. There's the line score. Fouled down the left field line. Line drive, base hit, center field. Mets take the lead.
Well, the Mets scoring 3 runs with 2 men out. And Cone here hits a slider on the nose in the center field to put the Mets up by a run. Pretty good swing right here. He puts a good move on it. He's tough with that bat.
Tony on first base. Jeffries drives the ball into the gap in left center field, but too high as Lonnie Smith gets over and makes the grab for out number 3. But some excitement here, offensive excitement, Met style. Bottom of the second, they scored 3 after 2.
I can't recall him.
Well, Lonnie Smith will lead it off for the Braves here in the top of the 3rd inning. It's 3-2 Mets. And Smith just took the ball outside, 1-0. Down low. Lonnie Smith has enjoyed some success against the National League East. He's batting .302 with 24 home runs and 143 RBIs throughout his career against the NL East. Fouled out of play.
Well, he had a dramatic home run against the Mets last year. Sid Fernandez lost the ball game in the 9th inning when Lonnie Smith led off the game with a home run. And in that ball game, Sid Fernandez struck out 16 batters, the most in the major leagues last year.
Outside, 3-1, as you saw the graphic. Told the story about last year, comeback player of the year. The only problem with that award is you have to have a bad year the year before. There's a drive to left center field. That ball's way back, and it's out of here. Home run, Lonnie Smith. All tied now at 3. He smoked that ball.
First home run given up by David Cone this year, and it was well hit.
Third baseman Jim Presley.
Well, Lonnie Smith gets his first home run this year, and he hits that fastball right over the left center field fence. That's the 4th home run hit by Atlanta this year. Well, it's good action right there.
Batter now, Jim Presley. 1-0 on the Brave third baseman. Presley has a 9-game hitting streak. Outside.
His longest streak is 10 in his major league career.
Do you consider that a long hitting streak?
No.
Do you remember your longest?
I have no idea.
Well, they didn't keep those stats then.
That's right. They didn't keep one. They tell you guys got a 2-game hitting streak.
I know it. There's a drive down the right field line. Extra bases for Presley. Strawberry over in the corner, gets the ball back in, and Presley has a stand-up double.
And he has tied his career high for hitting streaks. He has now hit in 10 in a row, 10 games in a row.
First baseman.
What do you consider a long hitting streak when you should start talking about it?
I think when they get up around 30.
Yeah.
It's interesting, though, when you get around 20, because usually it's a personal high for batters. Last year, the longest hitting streak was 30 games by the Rookie of the Year, Jerome Walton of the Cubs.
What's going on here? No stop. Outside to Tommy Gregg. Ball 1. I had the opportunity to talk to Hank Aaron during spring training. We were taping a show to be aired this summer, Halls of Fame. Mr. Kiner will also be featured on one of those shows. Aaron had some interesting things. Fouled out of play. 2-1 to Allen. 2-1. Now it's up high. 3 balls and 1 strike. Henry Aaron also took. And a 3-1 pitch, fouled out of play. So it's a full count on Tommy Gregg. David Cone is now. There's Presley leading off second base. Nobody out here in the 3rd. Ball pulled foul. So down low, ball 4. So the Braves now have runners on 1st and 2nd with nobody out. We're all tied at 3. This is
The problem is location as Bambojita continues to throw for the Mets.
Dale Murphy, the batter. Murphy had a single his first time up, driving in a run. Fouls the ball back here and out of play. 0-1. And the 0-1 pitch, swung on and missed. 0-2. Fastball misses up high. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Murphy has hit the most home runs of any Atlanta Brave player. And remember, Hank Aaron hit and played for the Atlanta Braves. He also played for the Milwaukee Braves, and he also played in the American League.
You know what Hank Aaron told me, Ralph, was one of his proudest achievements? He shared it with somebody. He and Eddie Matthews hit more home runs than Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig. Inside to Murph, 2-2.
I think Hank Aaron hit over 200 home runs as a DH. That has certainly changed baseball.
Whew. I didn't realize it was that many. Fouled off.
While playing for Atlanta in the National League.
2-2 pitch. Whoa. David Cone didn't get that pitch because he's been off the plate tonight.
That's twice that Dale Murphy's had real close pitches called balls. The last time he was up, 2 close pitches just like that one called balls. Goes with the reputation.
3-2. Popped up. Down the right field line and out of play. That reputation does help. You'll get a guy who bats 3rd and 4th in the lineup and has done it over the years. He'll get the benefit of the doubt. You get a young player out of the minor leagues with no credentials, forget it. Young lady enjoying her Briar scoop for the night. Popped up again and out of play. And the 3-2 pitch, right back up the middle. Great play, Elster. Almost a force out at second base. Jeffries unable to handle the throw. Outstanding stop by Kevin Elster. Just keeping the ball in the infield kept the Braves from scoring another run.
Well, he saved the run. There's no doubt about it. This is a base hit just like the one he got before through the center. And Elster cuts it off and then tries to flip it up to Jeffries, who can't make the play, and the bases are loaded, and then it'll be a base hit. Look at that glove throw. Outstanding play.
That ball was by him. Ernie Witt swings through a fastball, strike 1. 0-1 on Witt. What a play by Kevin Elster. About a week and a half ago at Montreal. Remember, Ralph, we were having dinner. We were talking to Frank Cashin, comparing Kevin Elster and Mark Belanger. Of course, Frank had Mark Belanger. He's been spoiled with shortstops, hasn't he?
He's had some good ones.
Aparicio, Belanger, now Elster. Fouled off. 0-2.
You know, you're talking about Hank Aaron and Eddie Matthews with the most home runs by teammates. 857 they had. Willie Mays and Willie McCovey had 800. Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig had 783. Duke Snider and Gil Hodges had 745.
Henry Aaron said that's one accomplishment he's so proud of. Strike 3. I'm sure David Cone is not only proud but very happy about that strikeout. But bases are still loaded with 1 out.
His 6th strikeout. Gets him with a off-speed pitch. Second time that Ernie Wood has struck out.
See Mackey grab at that ball. That's some really inexperience behind the plate. One down, bases still loaded. It's all tied at 3. Mackey Sasser wants to go out and talk to David Cohn, and he's calling Kevin Elster in. Has to do, I believe, with the signs. David Cohn, a real take charge pitcher. Some pitchers will rely completely on the catcher. Other pitchers will take charge. I would say most of the pitchers on the Met pitching staff would be take charge pitchers, because you take charge only after you've had success. Curveball for a strike. Jeff Blauser 0 for 1. Well, we talk about how important the man is who drives in runs. Usually the guy down in the order doesn't drive in that many key runs during the course of a year. And the 0-1 pitch. Did he go? Yes. 0-2.
High fastball after that good curve. Blauser trying to pull it back, but home plate umpire Ed Montague called it, not the first base umpire.
You see the runners and the defense. The 0-2 pitch.
Boy, he's throwing hard.
Yeah. And the 1-2 pitch. Fouled out of play, so we'll do it again. What's a different situation for a hitter to find himself in? You really don't have to chase bad balls because the bases are loaded. Although you have the pitcher hitting behind you, now it's up to the 8th hitter to drive in runs. That's why the 3rd and 4th hitters are paid so much money. They usually do drive in the runs.
Don't hit there if they don't drive them in.
Right. 1-2 pitch. Off the plate, 2-2. And the runners on the bases. Third, saw second base, I believe. Isn't it, Ralph? They still have second base in the middle of the field. 2-2. On Blauser.
When they had one umpire that umpired that ball game, a lot of hitters cut right from first to third, didn't catch that.
Oh, wild pitch. Run will score. So Presley scores, and it's the go-ahead run. Presley scores. Greg goes to third. Murphy to second. First base is open. Bad break for the Mets.
Well, he tries the sidearm curveball, and it's down and behind.
And a full count on Jeff Blauser. David Cohn really fighting to get his rhythm. As Ralph mentioned, he has good fastball, good breaking ball. He's just not over the plate with those pitches. Strike 3. It's a big strike right there. That's his 91st pitch his first time up. He worked the count to 3-2. David Cohn walked him. Ball 1. And the 1-0 pitch. Fouled out of play, so it's 1-1. The Braves lead the series with 194 victories. The Mets have 179, and that's a ball. 2-1.
Braves didn't win a game here last year all year. They were 0-6.
Swung on and missed. Strike 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs.
Last year the Mets won 10 of the 12 games played by these two clubs.
Greg on third, Murphy on second. Swung on and missed. Strike 3. So David Cohn in center field will lead it off. Bottom of the third, it's 4-3 Braves.
Torreon robbed of a base hit his first time up. Had a 308 for the Mets last year with 6 home runs, 4 of them as a pinch hitter.
Ball for strike, 0-2. Can you remember any real good pinch hitters that struggled as everyday players, Ralph? Good curveball, but misses up high, 1-2.
Rusty Staub.
Struggled as an everyday player.
Yeah.
You know, he's standing right behind us. Be careful.
That's why I said it.
Ooh, inside, 2-2. Schmaltz not afraid to go inside on hitters, is he?
Not at all. He's up there pretty good. Wallace Johnson of Montreal certainly a pretty good case in point.
That's an excellent case, or an excellent point. Oh, there's a good curveball. 1 out.
This copyrighted telecast.
He pops the ball up. Blauser calling for it at short and makes the grab. 2 outs. Braves, 3 for the Mets. 4. Strawberry picking up his first hit of the ball game.
Left fielder, Kevin McReynolds.
Batter now, Kevin McReynolds. McReynolds grounded to short his first time up. Fans came alive in the second inning. Now it's quiet again here at Shea. And they check Strawberry. I gotta send him, Ralph. Anytime you're struggling throwing runners out, it's the time to take advantage of it. Fouled off, 0-1.
I wouldn't have said it.
0-1 on McReynolds. Strawberry holds his ground. Ball bounces out of Ernie Wood's glove. 1-1.
Schmaltz has a good move to first base. He looks like he can hold a runner on. That was a complaint that Ernie Wood had. He said the pitchers weren't holding the runners close enough, and that's why they were stealing so many bases.
And they check Strawberry.
Atlanta's thrown out only 2 of 19.
And the 1-1 pitch. Strike 2, 1-2. We just found out, we just got word that Bill Buckner at Fenway Park in Boston has hit an inside the park home run. Claudell Washington was chasing the ball and fell into the stands. One and 2 on McReynolds here in New York. Schmaltz checks Strawberry.
Buckner at one time in his career could run very well. He broke his leg while playing for the Dodgers.
And the 1-2 pitch pulled foul. Sad thing about Billy Buckner, he's going to be remembered for the error here at Shea Stadium during the '86 World Series. And he's had an outstanding major league career. And that's what the Mets got because of that error. And people in Boston seem to have forgiven Billy Buckner. Got a standing ovation opening day at Fenway Park. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Did he hold up? No, he didn't. He was punched out by Bob Davidson, the first base umpire. So the Mets go takes down low. Ball 1 from David Cohn. Now coming in with the play-by-play, the very conservative Rusty style.
Thanks, Francis. McDowell, a pop-up, might stay in play. Yes, it does. Elster with a call in foul territory, 1 out.
How about that play Elster made before? Saved a run for the Mets. The ball was by him when he caught the ball.
Kevin Elster is
Jeff Treadway.
got the gift. He can play shortstop.
By the way, while we have a moment, we'd like to send our best to Raul Martin, who is a big Met fan, recuperating at Long Island Jewish Hospital. So get well soon, Raul.
David Cone, good breaking ball, strike one. Treadway also 1 for 2. The run scored. That ball just foul.
Did you ever have trouble with your hamstrings?
Yes, I did. Swing and a miss. That'll do it. Cone pitched him extremely tough that time. The 9th strikeout.
So here's that swing. Treadway going out. And his first time up, he took a swing like that and got a base hit. Hit the ball off the end of the bat into right field.
Hard to believe a guy could have 9 strikeouts in the top of the 4th inning with 2 outs and be trailing 4-3. Just outside. Lonnie Smith started the scoring for the Braves. Actually didn't start it, but got the 3rd run, the tying run, on a big home run. I mean, a rope. That ball got out of here in a hurry. That made the score 3-2. Big swing and a miss. You can't tie it with a 3-2 score, can you? That made it 3-3. I'm all right. Took an hour and a half to play the first 3 innings. I'm out of here. I'm in trouble. Cone has struggled with his rhythm. But he has had good stuff. But he walks Lonnie Smith.
It's funny, when a hitter hits a home run in a ball game against a pitcher, the rest of that ball game, he has the upper hand on that pitcher psychologically. And in catching some of those pitchers, they won't throw the same pitch. They want to make the perfect pitch rather than throwing a good strike. It's amazing what that home run does to a pitcher.
Ojeda was up in the last inning. Has thrown a lot of pitches in the bullpen. David Cone in the 4th inning has to be over 100 pitches now.
Yeah.
109 to be exact. Presley, big double his last time up. You see that 10-game hitting streak, as Ralph told you earlier. That ties his career high. Big swing and a miss, strike one. He almost sent him back to the dugout with that pickoff move right there.
Got to send him. Here's Lonnie diving. That weight will get you back there in a hurry.
Presley was 1 for 4 last night in the ball game. Not going. Strike 2. Good curveball by Cone. The ball is so tight, it's almost a swerve. Kind of in between the curve and the slider. Way ahead in the count. We'll see what happens here. He's been coming hard in.
Close. Dave Magadan coming off the base while the ball was thrown.
You have to remember who the umpire is at first base. We made a point of this last night. Bob Davidson missed the balk of 1989. There he goes. Line drive. Looks like it's trouble. It's gonna be extra base hit. Smith's gonna score. The ball gets through McReynolds. It's gonna make it 5-3 Braves.
Presley had a big hit in last night's ball game. The Mets came back and won that game. Here again, he smokes this ball down the left field line. Obviously, from the way Presley's hitting the ball, he likes the ball from the belt up. If McReynolds plays that ball off the wall, and McReynolds knew it because of Lonnie Smith's gain, he had a shot at getting Smith at the plate by hitting the cutoff man. Wasn't able to handle the ball, and Lonnie Smith scores. Presley's on second base, and Davey Johnson is out to the mound. It's been a struggle for David Cone. Some of those nights, some nights you go out, you have great stuff, and you just can't get it over the plate. It's a struggle. Well, we're bringing in a new pitcher. It's Bobby Ojeda coming in to pitch for the New York Mets. We're looking at the score, and we'll be back.
So he walked into third. Swing and a miss. They're 2 down. No balls, 1 strike. A run in. The strike called. Could not check his swing on that breaking ball.
Here's that last pitch to Tommy Gregg. A lot of check swings tonight.
A lot of pitches tonight.
Oh, yes.
0-2. Way outside a breaking ball.
One of those nights for a catcher, when you give the target, there's a good shot. The pitcher's not going to hit it. So you got to be ready to move. I mean, David Cone had good stuff. That's really tough when a guy has good stuff and he's off the plate with his good stuff.
On the outside corner, strike 3. Ojeda comes in, gets the job done, strands the runner. After 3.5 innings, though, the Braves lead 5-3. Ball inside. Smoltz has struggled, but he's ahead 5-3. Hard ground ball. First baseman Gregg has it. Not too great a throw, but Smoltz picks up his speed, snags it, and tags the bag for the first down.
The catcher, Mackie Sasser.
Here's that ground ball to Tommy Gregg. Right over the top with the toss. You're seeing that more and more. Usually the first baseman catches it, starts going towards the base and shuffles the ball to the pitcher. But more and more you're seeing the over the top throw.
You should not. There are certain plays where you have to do that. What you should do is exactly as you said, catch the ground ball, run toward the pitcher and toss it to him with your hand open so he can see the ball. Another ground ball. We'll try it again. Up, throw, a little better throw this time. Same results. 2 down.
Pitchers are better athletes than ever before, and these guys getting over to first base can make that grab. At one time, throw a ball like that to a pitcher, and you get all kinds of handcuffed over there by first base.
Shortstop, Kevin Elster.
It's better for the pitcher to get a firm throw than a weak throw like that first throw Gregg made, because there's no telling what the ball's going to do.
Bruce Del Canton, the pitching coach, getting a kick out of it. My old battery mate threw a lot of knuckleballs.
Kevin Elster following a 2-run triple. That in the 2nd inning. Line drive to left, but right at Lonnie Smith. He snags it for the 3rd out. Smoltz it.
All you have to do to win is send us a postcard with your name, address, date, time, phone number, and age to Claim the Big Game, P.O. Box 234, Woodbury, New York 11797. So claim the big game, courtesy of Sports Channel and Jeep Eagle. Entries must be postmarked by June 10th. Contest rules available upon request. Must be at least 18 years old to enter.
Ball outside makes it 1-1 to Dale Murphy. Another ball, 2-1. Last year at this time, shortstop for the Atlanta Braves, Andres Thomas was on his way to a great first half of the season. He has not even been seen in the dugout hardly in this series. Fouled straight back, 2-2.
It's funny, sometimes a manager, you get in his doghouse, you can never get out. You have to get traded to continue your career. There are some managers that will go to their grave saying you can't play. It's up to the player to stay ready, stay in shape, because you don't know if the manager is going to be around all year.
To his right was Nick Osaski. There's a line drive, right center. Strawberry back, not going to get there. Off the wall. Murphy going into second base for a double.
Murphy just picked up his third hit tonight. That can get you going. He smokes his ball to right center field. He's hit a lot of home runs to right center field. He just missed that one. Loves to extend those arms. He tattoos this ball right off the 371 mark. Strawberry played that ball well.
When he threw that ball in, no one was at second base had he made a perfect throw to second base. I'd understand that alignment on the infield. Strike one, good pitch by Ojeda.
Jeffries was the cutoff man, and the backup cutoff man was Kevin Elster.
Somebody's got to be at the bag, though.
Nobody was at second base.
Ernie Witt, not too good a night so far, has gone down on strikes both times. Steps out because the plane is going overhead. You know my theory on that. I think you should stay in there and hit, because the defense can't hear anything. They can't hear the crack of the bat. They can't help each other. Oh, this time he hits a weak pop-up. Elster there. That'll be out number one, and Ernie Witt will go back and check his fingers.
You're hard.
Shortstop, Jeff Blauser.
He's had a rough night. Made contact and hurt himself.
You were one of those guys that are busted to get all over the player who get jammed, I'm sure.
No, I would laugh. I would laugh. I didn't get on people too much. I didn't believe in that.
There are some guys that will go down in the tunnel and laugh.
Oh. Blauser pops it up, out of play, straight back, 0-1. Looks like Ron Darling is warming in the bullpen for the Mets. Yes, it is. Darling being skipped. Won't pitch until he gets to Atlanta on this road trip.
I mentioned that earlier in the ball game, and I mean, it was like the biggest news in the world yesterday when that was announced.
It's a ball, 1-1.
That happens early in the year to some clubs. It's just difficult to digest if you're the pitcher, especially on this club, because you have so much talent.
It used to be that Sid Fernandez was the guy who was always skipped over. This year it's not Sid. And it wouldn't be with that stellar performance he put out. Complete game win last time out. Only gave up 2 hits. Two balls and a strike. Mets just pulled even, 7-7. Not to the 500 mark. They're going to have to score some runs, or they're going to fall back under. Blauser has also had a tough night. Struck out his last time up, and he really got jammed his first time up. Now it's 3-1. The pitcher smokes in the on-deck circle. Murphy leading off second. Fouled straight back, 3-2. Braves have had some physical problems during the course of this year. We said if that was Osaski on the bench, he had gone back to Atlanta to be checked out after a great year in Boston last year. Osaski 14 strikeouts in 35 at bats, a 171 batting average. and a very bad shoulder, I believe it is.
He had 30 home runs last year for the Red Sox, drove in over 100 runs. The Red Sox tried to sign him, but he was born and brought up in the state of Georgia, and he decided to go home. And as a member of the Cincinnati Reds, he used to hammer the Braves.
Yes, he did. So far this year, he does not have a home run or an RBI. Fouled straight back, still a full count. And a surprising thing, in the limited number of games he's played, he's made 5 errors.
They felt with the Red Sox last year he was an outstanding first baseman.
Maybe it was a misprint on the card.
Yeah, really. I was more surprised with that. I figured he'd be an average defensive first baseman.
Well, before this year's out, he's going to hit a lot of home runs at that launching pad.
Strong.
He's got hands like Johnny Bench. Big, big hands. Inside, ball 4. First walk by a heater. I'll put men on first and second with 1 out. Schmoltz coming up. We'll see if they put the bunt play on. Mets coming in to talk about it.
The pitcher, John Smoltz.
I would think they have to anticipate that this will be a bunt.
I'd put the hit and run on.
Schmoltz 0 for 1, walked into second. I'm trying to ignore that.
It's a good time to bring that bat back and slam that ball.
Strike 1. That is a good play if you're overcharged. From the right side, Magadan was in quite a ways. Johnson playing right at the bag, so the straight play. Pitcher, the left-handed pitcher, falling off to the third base side, going to handle all the bunts over there. Magadan to cover the right side. Turn to bunt. Kind of a weak attempt.
Did you see the left side of the infield?
Left side of the infield is totally open. It always is in those situations.
Yeah, Elster over by second base. Johnson either charging or over by third base.
Second baseman Jeffries has to come hard to first because Magadan was playing in so far. Now everybody's moved back a little bit. Might still be bunting though. We'll see. No, he's swinging. Just outside. Ball and 2 strikes. Looking for the signs. They're making it easy for him if he does turn around to bunt. He's swinging and weakly, and he's out. 2 down. Ojeda getting him on a fastball away. Second strikeout for Bobby O. That brings up Odabe McDowell. Infield very deep except for Howard Johnson at third. He's even with the bag. McDowell takes a strike. He's 1 for 3. Singled and scored in the first, struck out in the second, and popped up to Elster in the fourth. Chance to drive in a run. Ball way outside. He's been very good so far this year with men in scoring position. A .400 batting average in that spot. The men on the bases. Swing and a miss. Good breaking ball that time. Ojeda really fooled it. Is it tonight at midnight or today at 5 o'clock that the waiver period ended, Fran? Do you know? Today is the magic waiver day at some time today. A lot of people will be hitting the streets.
We were talking about that before. A lot of guys will be released.
Off-speed pitch outside.
Rafael Santana was put on irrevocable waivers by the Cleveland Indians. He's the first of many.
It'll be happening a lot. Atlanta trying to win its first game at Shea Stadium in 2 years.
Well, you saw McDowell look down on that breaking ball before. He was really tempted to throw that breaking ball again.
Lots of time being taken. 2 balls, 2 strikes. So to be McDowell going to try to make some contact. They're awfully deep and left. Something we've talked about many times. Just makes some contact. Maganin snags it on a tough hop. Gets McDowell at first. The Braves strand 2 after 4.5. You're trying to get yourself in trouble now.
No, I'm dead serious, but 5 or 6 people have asked me since.
Just inside to Ojeda, ball 1.
The thing that always amazed me is how a radio guy could do it without the monitor in front of him.
Nobody can know if he's wrong.
That's right. That's exactly right.
2 balls, no strikes. Take a pitch. And he does. It's a strike. Three and 1. Again, Ojeda's not going to hit any home runs. He's leading off the inning. They're down by 2. Should be taking this pitch. And he does, but they call a strike. Schmaltz gets the benefit of that strike. It's a line drive. Way out of bounds.
You can tell it's a fastball when that ball comes in there that fast and straight.
Most hitters don't mind the fastball when it's straight, no matter how hard it's thrown. That was just enough to be a strike. Ojeda carrying a little lumber back to the plate. Frees up, takes a ball. If you missed earlier in the day, the Mets did send Jeff Innes back to Tidewater. Chuck Carr, young outfielder from Jackson, line drive in the gap. Murphy over, does cut it off. Jeffrey's going for 2, and he's going to make it.
Well, Schmaltz threw another fastball. Jeffries just tattoos this pitch. Here's again, good swing. Well, he has some great fundamentals at the plate, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
That's a triple right there. Murphy kept it as a double. Fine play by Dale Murphy. Saw that swing by Greg Jeffries. Oh, he's got some talent.
Yes, he does. Mark Carrion with 1 out. Jeffries at second. Oh, up and in, way up and in. That's a little reaction from the crowd.
Well,
got a little reaction from Carrion too.
Schmaltz not afraid to go up and in on right-handers or left-handers.
Check this one out. I mean, that's in the pipe zone. Carrion, it's a line drive. Way foul. A little behind on that. Carrion hitting .308 on the season so far. Outfield showing him tremendous respect. Very deep. Infield very deep. Swings at a breaking ball, gets a piece of it, but it's fouled straight back. Carrion hit the ball hard his first time up with a very good play by the second baseman Jeff Treadway, and he was put out at first base. Struck out his last time up. Breaking ball up 2-2. Jeffries leading off second. Breaking ball fouled straight back. Still 2-2.
Pinella and the Cincinnati Reds next Wednesday night.
Hits the ball, little ground grubber. This is going to be interesting. Toss to the pitcher, and he makes it. Greg, a little backhand flip. Schmaltz snagged it, tagged the bag, and wisely was looking at Jeffries.
That's a tough toss right here. Good play by Tommy Gregg. Kiner really fooled, fought the ball, hits the ball weakly to first base. Now watch Gregg. That's a tough toss. Schmaltz making the grab and tagging the base.
Under control. Really had his act together over there.
Fine play by Gregg and Schmaltz.
It moves Jeffries to third. Brings up Howard Johnson with 2 outs. Mets trailing by 2. Swing and a miss. A lot of times the 5th inning is the toughest inning for a pitcher when he's got the lead. Some of them let that emotion get a little anxiety rush. Howard Johnson pops it up. Will it stay in? Looks like it's going to Presley's there. He slips and he doesn't catch the ball. He slips on the grass and the ball falls out of his glove. Howard Johnson gets new life. Let's see what he does with it. When you're a hitter, Fran, and that happens, that's, I mean, what a relief that is. Now you know you're out. Now you got another chance.
Here it is again. It's an easy out, really, and Jim Presley slipping on turf here at Shea Stadium, unable to make the grab. Almost still caught that ball. I'd like to be the pitcher. Howard Johnson, of all people.
No error given on the play so far.
No, you can't give him an error on that, can you? Jeez. You know, you and Red Foley are a tough team.
Supposed to be able to stay on your feet. No balls, 2 strikes to Howard Johnson. Way inside. Is it a strike? He says yes. John McSherry punches him out. Tough break for Howard Johnson and the Mets. Howard does not like the call, obviously. But after 5, it's 5-3. Braves over the Mets. Swing and a miss. I don't know. I thought that it took 3 days to pick waivers. We're on that particular date. It'll take 3 days from everybody. 25th. We'll check on that. Kind of giving you some bad information there, folks. Not with intent. Just in a oblivious state. Not a real good hack, gets a little piece of it. 0-2. But I will guarantee you one thing. There'll be a lot of people hitting waivers in the next few days. We'll check on that. Kind of giving you some bad information there, folks. Not with intent. Just in a oblivious state. Not a real good hack, gets a little piece of it. 0-2. But I will guarantee you one thing. There'll be a lot of people hitting waivers in the next few days. Another complete jam job of a Brave hitter. Broke his bat. A little weak pop-up to Howard Johnson. Clubhouse man's gonna have to get on the phone here tonight. Make a call to the bat company. Look, he's laughing. Look at everybody. They know it too. Oh God, you can't help it. You know you're gonna come to that dugout and they're gonna be snickering. Especially when your bat breaks that loud. Just on the outside corner. No balls and a strike.
That's nasty to do it to the man during the game.
They're ahead 5-3. They can do it. Down 3-5. You keep your mouth shut. You might snicker in private. 2 outside. Well, who would have thought it? I know it's only ending the second week of the season, just beginning the third. Pittsburgh in first place, Montreal in second, and Philadelphia in third. That'll do it. Ojeda completely fooled Ronnie Smith that time. Wow. He really had a bad hack at that one.
Here it is again.
Third baseman, Jeff
Bobby turning that ball over very well.
Third strikeout for Ojeda. There's no doubt about it, he's going to be strong tonight.
Davey's always concerned when he does make a pitching switch that he brings in somebody the opposite of his starter. For example, David Cone with the overpowering fastball. He brings in Bobby Ojeda, who's not overpowering, a left-hander who turns the ball over.
Presley, a couple of hits, 2 doubles, and a strikeout. Takes the ball. He scored a run and driven in a run. Everybody deep. Outside, 2-0. Mets going on to Houston after this game. It's an off day tomorrow. They'll play the Expos 3 games. In those 3 games, it'll be Viola against Mark Portugal, Sid Fernandez against Bill Gullickson, and the Doctor against Mike Scott. Outside corner, strike 1. Hard to believe that a pitcher of Mike Scott's caliber could get off to as tough a start as he has. He's 0-2 with a 7.32 earned run average. Swing and a miss, strike 2.
Talked about Presley before. We've seen him get a steady diet of breaking balls. He looks like he likes the ball from the waist up. He's hammered a couple pitches from the waist up.
Most people do. Especially if it's not a Doc Gooden fastball at about 93. Swing and a miss. Super inning for Ojeda. Strikes out 2 after 5.5. The Braves 5
right now.
It hasn't been allowed 300 though.
No, it hasn't. No. He has 2 home runs.
And 9 RBIs, which isn't bad. Ground ball, Treadway over. Olson went for it. Strawberry still out. Olson moved toward, he was playing deep to start off.
I thought Darrell could have got down first base a little bit quicker there. A lot of times hit the ball on the right side, you just take for granted it's first base a little bit quicker there. A lot of times hit the ball on the right side, you just take for granted it's an easy out. But as you mentioned, Greg was playing way back.
Way back.
Could have been a good foot race to first base.
Brings up Kevin McReynolds. Ball 1.
Tommy Gregg was way back for Darryl Strawberry. Here's again Treadway getting the ball over.
See Treadway with
Tommy Gregg.
The bubble. Weak ground ball to third. Presley up with it. Over to Gregg. 2 down.
You relax when you can catch a ball and blow a bubble while you're throwing the ball to first base.
Evidently.
Jeez.
Mets on this swing, including the game last night. 32 games in a row they'll be playing against the Western Division clubs. They started off right with a victory last night. Trailing 5-3 in the bottom of the 6th. 2 down. Magadan takes a strike on the inside corner. Mags singled and scored in the 2nd. Grounded out first baseman to the pitcher in the 4th. Off-speed pitch by Schmoltz. Haven't seen that pitch a lot. There it bases again.
You know, it's really surprising. Obviously, he's catching Magadan by surprise, but it's surprising that you would throw it to a guy like Dave Magadan, who has such a short stride. Usually that straight off-speed pitch, you don't want to throw it to a guy who's a spray hitter with a short stride. You want to throw it to a guy more like a Darryl Strawberry with the long stride.
2 balls, 2 strikes. When Innes went to Tidewater, we were talking about Chuck Carr coming up from Jackson. Young man was hitting .306, 4 doubles, 2 triples, a home run, 7 RBIs, stole some bases. He fights it off, is going to get a dunker. No, oh, to B. McDowell makes a heck of a play in center field and robs Magadan of a base hit. So that play will end the inning after 6 full innings. Still 5-3 Braves. Little grub worm, but it was hit firmly.
Right fielder Dale Murphy.
He got the head out of the way, snagged it, tossed it to first.
Ojeda came in the game in the 4th inning with 2 men out, struck out Tommy Gregg, and since that time has given up just 1 hit, a 2-base hit to Dale Murphy, who is now in the batter's box. Murphy 3 for 3 tonight. Takes a fastball for ball 1. The change of pace for a ball. 2 balls, no strikes. Cohn working 3 2/3 innings, struck out 9 batters. But he is on the losing side of this game. Again, the change up, and it's ball 3. Ojeda has struck out 4 batters since he has been in the game, so there have been a total of 13 strikeouts by the Atlanta Braves. Murphy walks on 4 pitches. Murphy leads the club in stolen bases as
Catcher.
That's the young fella Chuck Carr, just up from Jackson.
Make that trip 6 there.
Yeah, they make a quick trip when they're coming up, don't they, Ralph?
Yeah,
they don't take any time at all
to go back.
And rightly so. Chance to play in the big leagues.
Ernie with the bat. Ernie is 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. The runner goes, a ball hit in the air to left field. McReynolds charging, and he makes the catch. The throw to first base is in time, and Murphy is doubled off. So the double play ends the inning, and the score at the end of 6.5 innings. It's Atlanta 5, the New York Mets 3. So we're going to the bottom of the 7th inning. The Mets need 2 to tie the leadoff batter, Mackey Sasser. John Smoltz on the mound for Atlanta. And Sasser takes the first pitch for ball 1. Deep right field, way back. It's going, and it is caught by Dale Murphy over the wall. So Sasser in a bid for a home run, and Murphy with that tall extension pulls it back into the ballpark.
Watch the jump. Watch the glove. Just over the fence. I want to talk about break a hitter's heart. That'll do it. What a day for him. Perfect night at the plate. Big play in the outfield.
Saved a run there, and the Mets need 2 to tie. That'll bring up Kevin Elster, who drove into with a 3-base hit to right center in the 2nd. He has an idea about bunting his way on. Mets have a pinch hitter in the on-deck circle for Bob Ojeda.
Let's take a look at that catch one more time from Murphy. Back up on the wall. Times it. Leaps. Just over. But a good play.
And the pitch back to Sasser, taken for ball 2. Mets have had 3 runs on 5 hits off of John Smoltz, looking for his first win of the year. Elster has hit the ball hard twice. Tripled to drive in 2 in the second. Lined out the left field in the 4th. And this one is popped up in foul territory as the ball goes back into the stands, out of play.
That picture you saw was Dow Canton, the pitching coach, calling down to the bullpen. Might see some activity. Just checking to see who's going to be ready. Yep, they're sending somebody out there.
Elster, his 3rd triple, should say his 1st triple, and the 3rd for the Mets this year. Mike Stanton starting to throw in the bullpen for Atlanta. Stanton, the losing pitcher in last night's ball game.
Might be something physical with Smoltz. You see him working on his leg. Keeps picking it up and down. It must be something that's giving him some physical problems for them to have somebody warming up as quickly as they are at this time in the game.
And the curveball for strike 3.
Didn't look like any trouble on that pitch.
Nothing wrong with that. His 6th strikeout. He's had a good curveball tonight.
And here's one of them. Kevin Elster. Again, that breaking ball, fastball on the outside portion of the plate.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please.
So the Mets will be going for a pinch hitter. It's going to be Tom O'Malley, hitting 143.
Tom O'Malley.
O'Malley, one of the players the Mets have to make a decision on soon. Hitting 143. 1 for 5 as a pinch hitter.
Most valuable player in the International League while playing for Tidewater, the Mets' top farm club last year. The count at strike 1.
And we will get Ron Darling in a rare relief appearance.
As a matter of fact, his 2nd relief appearance in his major league career, and his other one was against Atlanta.
It was in that long game.
Game that started July 4th and ended July 5th.
About 3 or 4 in the morning.
Latest game ever played in major league history.
The topper was they shot the fireworks off at 4 in the morning.
4 in the morning. 3:55 the game is over. The curveball again, and a 1-2-3 inning with the help of Dale Murphy, who took a home run away from Mackey Sasser. The score at the end of 7. Atlanta 5, the New York Mets 3. His 2nd relief appearance, and his 1st pitch, a fastball fouled off. Jeff Blauser is the batter. He's 0 for 2 with a walk.
Well, he's in a position where if he gets fortunate, the Mets put on a rally, he could sneak a win in.
And the fastball fouled away for strike 2. Darling with a lifetime record of 87 wins, 57 losses. And he'll be working to John Smoltz as the next batter. And he struck him out on 3 pitches. "14th Brave to strike out in this game."
As we told you, he was having a little bit of physical problems. John Smoltz will be leaving this game. Young Stanton will come in and try to finish it for him.
So we'll have a pinch hitter.
Mark Lemke will be the hitter. Lemke on the season hitting .214, 3 hits and 14 at bats. He's 0 for 5 as a pinch hitter.
He was a pinch hitter in last night's ball game, batting against Doc Gooden, and was Doc's 10th strikeout victim. The 39th time that Doc Gooden has struck out 10 or more batters in the ball game in his major league career.
The Mets bullpen's been doing a great job. They haven't given up anything. This is the 6th game so far anyway that they have not given up a run. Darling trying to maintain that record.
Atlanta leading by a score of 5-3. They've out hit the Mets 8-5. first pitch is in there for a called strike. Atlanta with a record of 2 wins and 9 losses, 7 games back of Cincinnati in the National League West. Check swing, foul ball, strike 2. Back in 1982, Atlanta got off to a 13-0 start, winning their first 13 ball games of the season. That set an all-time record. It was tied by Milwaukee a couple of years ago. Here's the 2-strike pitch, and it's a fastball for a ball. That was a year Atlanta went on to win the National League West. Manager was Joe Torre, his first year after leaving the Mets. So Donning strikes out his first 2 batters. 15th Atlanta Brave batter to strike out.
Center fielder Oddibe McDowell.
Mets are winning a lot of the battles, but right now they're losing the war. 5-3.
Mets are leading the National League in strikeouts.
They came into this game with 124, 30 ahead of the second place Los Angeles Dodgers.
They're also leading in home runs with 12. And Oddibe McDowell swings and misses. Strike 1. Dowell with a bunt base hit in the first, scoring the first run of the ball game when he was driven in by Lonnie Smith in the blue pit to left. Darling's curveball, strike 2.
He's looking sharp.
The 2-strike pitch popped up in foul territory. Might stay fair. It's drifting back into fair territory, but caught. And Ron Darling, in his second appearance ever in relief, retires the side in order with 2 strikeouts. The score at the end of 7.5 innings. The Braves 5, the New York Mets 3. This ball game.
Second baseman Greg Jeffries.
And he'll be working to Greg Jeffries, Mark Carrion, and Howard Johnson as his first 3 here in the bottom of the 8th inning. The Mets trailing by a score of 5-3. Stanton with an earned run average of 11.37. Had a terrific year last year pitching for Greenville, Richmond, and Atlanta. He was 0-1 with Atlanta with 7 saves with an earned run average of 1.50 in 20 games when he came up from the minors. And he held the opposing right-hand batters to a 206 average and the opposing left-hand batters to a 214 batting average, and he's working to Greg Jeffries for ball 1. At one point he had 32 1/3 consecutive scoreless innings at 3 different levels in baseball. Jeffries 1 for 3, and he takes that pitch for a called strike.
Jeffries not happy with that call from home plate umpire Ed Montague.
In last night's ball game, Stanton gave up a leadoff double to Mark Carrion as a pinch hitter. Johnson then blooped to hit the left field, and Carrion went to third. He got Strawberry to pop up, walked McReynolds intentionally, and then Mike Marshall with the infield in hit a slow ground ball up the middle. They had no play at the plate as Jeffries fouls off a fastball. They tried to get the double play and didn't get it, and the Mets won the game in the bottom half of the 9th. Ground ball in the hole and a base hit for Jeffries. So for the second time in a row against the Mets, Stanton has given up a base hit to the leadoff batter in late innings.
It's a heck of an at bat for Jeffries. Really didn't have any good swings. Stanton looked like he was overmatching him a little bit. He just battled his way, got a pitch he could handle, and hit it hard between the shortstop and the third baseman.
So Jeffries 2 for 4 tonight, and that brings up Mark Carrion, who's 0 for 3. And he pops up his first pitch. Blauser, the shortstop, by the bag, and he makes the catch. Jeffrey stays at first. So one away, and Howard Johnson the batter.
Third baseman Howard Johnson.
The Met bullpen, you're watching Alejandro Pena and Jeff Musselman.
Howard Johnson 0 for 3 tonight. He is at 50 of his career home runs. He has a total of 139 from the 7th inning on. And batting here in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Jeffrey's at first base, and the first pitch is called a ball. Mike Stanton. The Mets did not see him last year. He was brought up after the Mets had completed their games with the Atlanta Braves for the season. And there's ball 2.
Howard Johnson really in the driver's seat. He'll be looking for that fastball. Should get it.
And the 2-0 pitch sinks low for ball 3. On deck batter for the Mets, Darryl Strawberry. As you look at Russ Nixon, manager of the Atlanta Braves, and he's under the gun right now. There's a fastball called a strike. Johnson doesn't like the call, but he's not up there to walk. Many batters that would swing at a pitch like that just to keep it from being called a ball. Get another shot at hitting the ball out of the ballpark. Three balls, 1 strike. Right back to the middle, a base hit. Jeffries to second base and holding there, and the Mets have the tying runs on. Runners at first and second, they represent the tying runs. And the batter is Darryl Strawberry, who is 1 for 2 tonight with a walk. Strawberry with 2 home runs this year. With a winning run on third in the 9th inning last night, Stanton got Strawberry to pop up to the second baseman. First pitch is swung on and fouled back out of play.
I think the most controversial part of the game last night was with men on first and third. They walked the bases loaded, and they pulled the infield all the way in. Did not leave the shortstop and the second baseman at double play depth, and that cost them the ball game.
Marshall hit a ground ball that could have been turned easily into a double play as the curveball's in for strike 2 if they had been playing at double play depth. Another controversial part of that game, with Carrion on at second and nobody out, they pitched to Howard Johnson. He singled to left field. Then they got Strawberry to pop up. Walked McReynolds intentionally to set up a chance for a force play at every base and or a double play, and then Marshall came to with the force play that saw Carrion score the winning run from third. 1-2 the count. The fastball just missing.
He's got him set up very well right now for the old hook. We'll see what comes.
And the 1-2 pitch is a curveball grounded to the second baseman, bobbled at second base. The throw to first base, not in time, and all hands are safe. The Mets have the bases loaded with 1 man away.
Give Strawberry credit for hustling down the line. Treadway going to try to get the lead runner, drops the ball. Terrence Olsen wasn't at the bag in a hurry. Strawberry gets the call for Bob Davidson. Here's the little toss. He couldn't get much on it. Strawberry just beating the throw.
So now the bases are loaded, and the batter is Kevin McReynolds. One man out, bottom of the 8th inning. The Mets trailing by a score of 5-3. Reynolds takes the first pitch for ball 1.
In the Atlanta bullpen, Rick Lucan warming up. Stanton not used to seeing that.
McReynolds 0 for 3 tonight. And a strike call. 1 ball, 1 strike. On deck is Dave Magadan.
He may not get the call, though.
And it's
Line drive
to center field. 1 run scores, 2 runs score. The throw to third base is not in time, and following the play at third, on down to second, Kevin McReynolds. So it's a tie ball game, and the Mets have runners at second and third, and still 1 man out.
Take a look at it. Stanton a breaking ball. He gets a little bit on the end of the bat. You can tell it's going to be a hit. Now coming in, makes the wise throw to third base. Looks like the ball's ahead of him. But Presley late on the tag. He can't believe the call. Mets got a real break on that. Although I don't think he got the tag on him, Ralph.
So now time is called a conference at the mound.
And McReynolds with a good base running play, going to second base on the throw to third.
And the Mets are going for a pinch hitter for Dave Magadan. It's going to be Tim Tuffle, who had a big base hit for the Mets to drive in 2 runs as a pinch hitter his last time up.
Well, he in all probability is not going to get an opportunity to swing. We'll see what happens with 1 out. You saw Marshall moving around in there. They're not going to have Sasser face the left-hander. Marshall may get a chance to face Stanton again with the game on the line.
First base is open. Tuffle, the pinch hitter for Dave Magadan. Magadan with a base hit and 3 times up. And they're going to walk him.
And here comes Marshall.
So the intentional walk to Tim Tuffle to set up a chance for a double play. Ball game is tied at 5. The Mets have runners at second and third. Shortly first, second, and third, and Marshall in the on-deck circle to bat for Mackey Sasser.
And Ron Darling, with 1 brilliant inning, has a chance here to pick up a quick victory. Will it be deja vu? They got to play back to the double play this time.
They got to play back. And they're going to go to a right-hand pitcher. So Marshall announced in the ball game, and Stanton apparently will be replaced, is replaced now. The sign has gone out for the run. And his first pitch, a good breaking ball for strike 1. No decision. The 1-strike pitch hit hard to third and on through for a base hit. Coming in to score is Strawberry. Behind Darryl Strawberry is McReynolds. Going to third is Tuffle. And Marshall with a pinch hit double, and the Mets have taken the lead by a score of 7-5.
Marshall does it again. This ball is going to just get by Presley. He might actually get a little touch of the glove. He does on it. That only ensures that 2 runs are going to score. Gives Tuffle a chance to move to third. Marshall going into second with a double.
So the Mets with 4 runs in here in the bottom of the 8th inning, and still batting, still 1 man out, and the batter is Kevin Elster. First base is open. And the first pitch to Elster is in there for a called strike. Elster with a triple and 2 runs batted in back in the second is 1 for 3 tonight. So here the Braves do not walk the batter to set up the double play. They have the infield in for a play at the plate. Pitcher is due up next.
Lyons is standing in the on-deck circle.
And there's strike 2. There is Barry Lyons. Mets will be needing a catcher. Taking out for a pinch hitter.
Darling on the winning end of this game now. That'll be the least amount of pitching he has ever done for a win. The Mets hold on in the 9th, obviously.
And his only other relief appearance. And the breaking ball outside, 2-2.
I was a little surprised that Russ Nixon went against his top reliever. He walked the bases loaded, decided to go to Lukin.
Two balls, 2 strikes, and the breaking ball outside for ball 3. First base is open. So a walk here would not change the situation. In fact, it might even help the Braves.
Well, with the infield in, the outfield's playing awfully deep.
Three and 2. And he throws a fastball right down the middle, and it's fouled back out of play.
Elster missed a golden opportunity right there. Wow, Braves' overall pitching record. Opposition hitting over 300. They're not going to win many games like that.
They have got all the negatives that you could have. And again, a fastball, and this will score a run. Murphy out in right field. Tuffle tagged up. And he comes in to score, and the Mets tack on an insurance run. And they lead by a score of 8-5. Third run batted in for Kevin Elster.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please. Batting for the pitcher, Ron Darling.
Mets now leading 8-5 with 5 runs in, and that pitch off of the glove of Ernie Witt. And moving over to third base is Marshall. It is being scored as a wild pitch. Chopped out to the third baseman. Broken back pop-up, and that will end the inning. But the Mets send 9 men to the plate, score 5 runs. Lead runner lost the ball, then finally picked it up, but too late to get Strawberry at first. Then Franco's first pitch, a fastball. New York Mets baseball is being brought to you by Manufacturers Hanover, where your money has power. Treadway with a single his first time up. 1 for 4 tonight. Walked and scored to give the Atlanta Braves a 5-3 lead over the Mets. And then the Mets got 5 to take the lead in the 8th inning. Ground ball to Tuffle. He throws over to Franco covering at first. And the Braves are down to their last out. So the Braves a chance to break into the win column here at Shea Stadium. They lost all 6 here last year. Their first game here this year. They were leading 5-3 in the bottom of the 8th inning when the Mets took that lead away. This is Jim Presley, the third baseman. He's had 2 hits and 4 at-bats. Has struck out twice. And the breaking ball for ball 1. Mets now in this homestand, by winning this ball game, will be 5-3 if they can hold on to this lead. And their second night game win of the year. Fastball fouled away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Mets with a short trip to Houston and Atlanta, and then back here against the Cincinnati Reds.
Cincinnati, a big night for them. 12 runs. They're ahead of Philadelphia tonight, 12-4.
They win that ball game, their record will be 10-2. Ground ball out to the shortstop. Kevin Elster handles it. Tuffle gives the Mets the ball game. So Franco working a 1-2-3 inning, picks up his 5th save. The winning pitcher Ron Darling, he's now 1-2 for the year. The loser in the game for the second night in a row, Mike Stanton, and his record will be 0-2. Mets winning by a score of 8-5. We'll be back with a recap right after these messages.